Chapter 3, Mount Butter School. Miss Stevens was at her desk. She was busy writing something, but she stopped when she saw Samantha. "Can I help you, Samantha?" she asked. "Yes, Miss Stevens," answered Samantha. She did not know quite how to begin. At last she said, "I have a friend, and she's just started school. She's 9, but she never went to school because she had to work at a factory. She's in the 2nd grade. Samantha stopped and watched Miss Stevens closely to see if she would think this was funny, but Miss Stevens didn't look as if she thought there was anything funny at all. Samantha went on. The children teased her and the teacher is mean. She thinks my friend isn't very smart, but she is smart, Miss Stevens. She just needs help." Miss Stevens nodded, so Samantha kept talking. "I could teach her, but I don't know what she needs to learn." She looked at Miss Stevens hopefully. "Can you help us?" Miss Stevens looked thoughtful. "You're a very good friend, Samantha. I think you will be a good teacher, too. Come sit down." Samantha sat on the chair next to her teacher's desk, and Miss Stevens went to a bookshelf at the side of the room. She came back with 4 books. "These are the 2nd grade books," she said. "There's a speller, a reader, and arithmetic book, and a geography book." Miss Stevens began writing in the books with a pencil. "I'm marking parts in each of them. Do you think you can help your friend learn them?" "Yes, Miss Stevens," Samantha said. "Good," Miss Stevens replied. "Now stop and see me after school on Friday. Tell me how much your friend has done, and I will help you plan for the following week. It's going to mean quite a bit of work, Samantha. Do you think you can do it?" "Oh, yes, we can do it." Samantha stood up, reached for the books, and dashed out of the classroom. Samantha ran most of the way home. She was so eager to get started that she almost forgot a curtsy when she burst into Grandmary's sitting room. She remembered and bobbed quickly, just in time to avoid her grandmother's frown. "Grandmary, may I start at school?" asked Samantha in a rush. Even though Grandmary was used to the unexpected from Samantha, she could still be surprised. She raised an eyebrow and looked at her granddaughter. "Why, Samantha, are you quite sure you've learned all that Miss Stevens has to teach you?" Samantha tried to explain. "Grandmary, I want to start a school for Nellie. She's having a terrible time at the public school. The teacher is mean to her, and the children tease her because she's just in 2nd grade. But if I helped her, she could move up to the 3rd grade really fast. I just know she could." Grandmary thought for a minute before she answered. "I'm glad that you are willing to help Nellie," Grandmary said, "but you must not take up too much of her time, Samantha. Nellie has duties at the Van Sicklin's house, and I know you would not want her to neglect them." "I won't take too much time, I promise," said Samantha, and we'll be so quiet you won't even know we're here." A little smile crept around Grandmary's mouth, and Samantha knew she had won. "Very well," said Grandmary. "I guess it won't do any harm." "Thank you, Grandmary," said Samantha as she hugged her grandmother quickly. Then she hurried out of the room to get her school ready. It was past 4 o'clock when Samantha went into the Van Sicklin's backyard looking for Nellie. Samantha couldn't see anyone around, but she could hear someone in the laundry room. She peeked inside and saw Nellie ironing clothes. Nellie worked at a table in the middle of the room. Next to her, 3 irons sat on a small coal stove. Nellie was sweating with heat. She put the iron she was using back on the stove and picked up a hot one before she noticed Samantha. Her face brightened when she saw her friend. "Can you come over to my house?" asked Samantha. "Oh, not now," Nellie said as she wiped her face with the corner of her apron. "I have to finish the ironing first, but I'm pretty near done." She looked down at her basket. I can come in about a half hour." All right," Samantha said. "I'll wait for you on my back steps." She walked back to her house and sat with a book until she saw Nellie coming through the hedge. Nellie was carrying Lydia, the beautiful doll that Samantha had given her. Lydia was no longer quite so fine. Her dress was wrinkled and worn because she had been held so often. Her hair was mussed because Nellie hugged her so tightly at night. Her china hands and face were dirty because Nellie took her with her wherever she could. Samantha looked at Lydia and knew she had been loved. Come on, Nellie. I have something to show you, she said. Together, the two girls went inside. In the hallway next to the kitchen, Samantha opened a door that led to a curving stairway. She started up, and Nellie followed. The stairs ended on the second floor at the back of Grandmary's house. Samantha opened another door. The steps were narrower now, but ended in the attic. Samantha led the way down a narrow hall, past Elsa's room and Jessie's sewing room, to a third stairway. These steps were very steep, and sunlight poured down from above them. And the girls climbed. Nellie's heart beat faster. She knew where they were now. Samantha was taking her to the small tower that rose above her house and made it look like a palace among the houses of Mount Bedford. Nellie held her breath as she followed Samantha up. And suddenly, they were there, in a tiny room above the world. There was a window in each of the four walls, and Nellie hurried to peer out of each one in turn. She could see all the way down the hill to School Street. She could see the Rylands house and the Van Sicklins, and she could see over the trees and the hill. Nellie had never been up so high before. She thought it felt like flying. When she turned around, Nellie saw that the room was special inside too. Samantha's small blackboard was there, standing on wooden legs like an easel. There were cushions to sit on and books stacked neatly against one wall. And there was a small jar of dried white beans. Nellie was amazed. Samantha, what? Here, sit down. We're going to get you out of the second grade, Nellie. Put Lydia on the window seat and let's get started. Samantha opened a book to the place Miss Stevens had marked. Why don't you start reading there, and when you come to a word you don't know, I'll write it on the blackboard so you can practice it. Nellie read 2 pages, and Samantha wrote 11 words on the blackboard. Nellie copied them in her copybook to take home and study. Next, they worked on penmanship. Samantha thought this might be difficult for Nellie. She remembered how hard it had been to make her own letters small enough, and how she had worked to get all the curls in the right places. But Nellie was fascinated by the letters. She loved the fancy look of them. Even though her first letters were crooked, she kept trying to make them beautiful. Finally, it was Samantha who said it was time to stop. They would have to go on to arithmetic. Samantha opened a book to the place Miss Stevens had marked. Samantha spilled some beans out of the jar and onto the floor. She began arranging them in rows. All right, Nellie, here are 7 beans and here are 5, she said. Now, if you add them together, 12, Nellie interrupted. Samantha looked up startled. She moved more beans into place. 14 and 9, she said. 23, said Nellie, without bothering to count the beans. Samantha scooped the beans back into the jar and said, 17 and 15. 32, Nellie answered promptly. Samantha sat back at her heels and stared at Nellie. How did you know that? Nellie shrugged. Lots of times in the city I did the shopping for Mama. I usually had just about $1, and I had to get food for all of us. I had to know how many pennies things cost. I had to know how many pennies I had left, and I had to know fast. Samantha nodded slowly. She didn't want to think about Nellie counting pennies for food. She shoved the bean jar into a corner. It's getting too late to look at the geography book now. We'll have to save that for another day, she said. And the girls were stacking the books and getting ready to leave. Samantha had a thought. You know, Nellie, she said, we should have a name for our school. I think we should call it the Mount Better School. Her smile had mischief in it as she looked at Nellie. We've got better students than the Mount Bedford School. A grin flashed across Nellie's face. We've got better teachers too, she said.